Well, hello, good morning. I'm just sitting here taking a look at this BC Provincial sales tax rebate, and it occurred to me that I should probably put an information video out about this. This doesn't apply to absolutely every taxpayer. Obviously, it only applies to British Columbia taxpayers, and it it really only applies to British Columbia incorporated taxpayers. But that being said, there is a great deal of money on the table, and I'm not hearing a great deal of press about it. So I thought MCR would add this to our financial literacy series in hopes that we can reach out and help some people out. So let's take a look at what the BC PST rebate is actually all about. So here we go. So this is the British Columbia website, and you can go here yourself. If you just type in BC PST rebate, it'll get you there. Rebate machinery and equipment. So right off the top, you see that we are talking about selected machinery and equipment. So before anybody has a chance to get too far down the road, this in no way covers a new car or a new truck. In fact, as we go down through here, you're going to see it very specifically does not cover motor vehicles. That being said, if you've done any amount of expansion in your company, or maybe even just started your company for the first time in the last year, then most likely you're going to be able to get substantial amounts of money back. So this covers a period from September 17, 2020 until the end of September this year. Okay? You will be able to continue to apply. The cutoff for getting your application in will be March of 2022. But the cutoff for your expenditure will be the end of September. So this is money you may have already spent this year. You've been following along with our financial literacy series and our quick tips, and so you're practicing excellent receipt hygiene. Doesn't even matter if you didn't know this existed, because the way that you are now handling your paperwork within your business is such that you can easily come up with these records. So who can apply? Well, the list of who can apply is quite long. It's more pertinent to talk about who cannot apply. Crown corporations cannot apply. Local government corporations cannot apply. Charities and non-profits cannot apply. Schools, school boards, universities, none of them can apply. Hospitals, health districts, this is not for any of them. It is also not for, and this is unfortunate, it is not for our sole proprietors. And I know at MCR we got some very healthy sole proprietors that for all intents and purposes have very similar costs to very similar sized limited companies. In any event, you're getting left out on this. It does not include sole proprietors. Qualifying machinery and equipment. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but in general, we're talking about things that have a CCA class. Okay? The goods that we're talking about have to be specific to your business. 90% or more is what specific to your business means. They need to be purchased or leased in BC or brought into or received in BC. So this is a British Columbia provincial sales tax rebate, and it is intended on equipment that you've put into your company specific to doing business in British Columbia. And so in our area, there's a lot of companies that have business in Alberta and business in BC. The British Columbia government clearly does not want to give you provincial tax rebates on equipment that you're actually working and keeping and utilizing in Alberta. So that's what that's all about. Okay. So we got a long list of what does qualify here. If you're familiar at all with CCA classes, your tax provider or your accountant can go through these for you. So basically, what you're not going to see on here is Class 10.1. And Class 10.1 is going to be your vehicle and your pickups and your trucks and your cars. So none of those things qualify. Okay? But most other forms of machinery does qualify. And there is an exception on vehicles when it comes to zero emission vehicles. So if for some reason that, maybe you're going to maybe you're a taxi driver and you're going to buy a zero emissions taxi, that you would be able to get your provincial sales tax back on. A fixed machinery, so depending on the type of business, are you buying machinery that's going to be bolted down and used as a part of processing in your company? Or did you buy new machinery? Did you expand? Any of that, the provincial sales tax can be claimed on. Maybe you're a welder and you put together a new welding rig. Now the truck itself will be considered a vehicle and therefore be non-qualifying. But did you buy a new welding deck? Did you buy a new welder? Did you buy new bottle racks? All that bolt-on stuff that goes on that turns that, basically frame-stripped pickup truck into an actual welding rig. If you bought that in the last year, you can get your sales tax back on that. Zero emissions vehicles, British Columbia is very much pushing zero emissions vehicle. I'm just going to cover this quickly for those that don't know. A fully electric vehicle is a zero emissions vehicle. A fully hydrogen powered vehicle is a zero emissions vehicle. And they're also going to accept plug-in hybrids providing you have at least a 7 kilowatt hour battery, which I suppose means you'd be mostly running on electricity. Let's go quickly over the stuff that does not qualify, because this is, exactly what CRAs or not CRA, but the provincial government's going to be looking at in your claim. Boats and vehicles, including trailers, other than zero emission vehicles. Okay? We just got to accept this. As much as many of us might want there to be vehicles on this list, no form of vehicles on this list. Consumables clearly are not on this list, right? Improvements to real property, right? That isn't a part of it, but that doesn't include bolted down affixed equipment. So we did already cover that. If you're already covered under one of these other types of tax rebates, where the government is very careful about avoiding double dipping. Okay. Obviously, in order to qualify, you're going to need to be current. And, if you're already in arrears with the government, it's not a good time to be, hoping that they're going to give you stuff back. Leased goods. So it may be that you didn't actually purchase the goods, but you have some kind of long-term lease agreement. Be aware that if, say, you have a 60-month lease agreement, you're not going to get the PST back for the whole 60 months. You will get the PST back for that period of time between September 17, 2020 and November 30th, 2021. Still a substantial amount of money in many cases. So let's not focus on the parts we're not going to get. Let's focus on what we can get, because people, if you've been following us along, you know that MCR Accounting, for instance, expanded into a second office location in the last year. So with that becomes office furniture and computers and servers and all the things that our particular business needs to get up and running. Those things we will be putting in a PST rebate claim for. Similar things in your business, you can be putting in a PST rebate form for. So this rebate does not apply to any goods delivered on October 1st, 2021 or later. That you can have written contracts that'll carry it through November 30th. Talk to your advisor about those kinds of things. On the website, you'll find a whole bunch of different examples of what is and is not covered, right? Including some talk-throughs on here. A food distribution company purchases large commercial freezer units on January 1st. pays the PST at the time of the purchase. The freezer units will be used to store frozen food inventories and installed in such a way that they'll become part of the real property, the buildings in which they're housed. The PST on these freezer units is eligible for rebate because the freezer units qualify as a fixed machinery under eligible CCA class. So you can go to the website I'm showing you here, and you can get very, very specific advice. You can also, like, no matter who your accountant and tax preparer is, I'm sure they're absolutely more than willing to help you with this, and I absolutely guarantee at MCR Accounting, we are willing to help you with this, whether you are one of our clients or not. So what do you need to do to apply? Well, here's the thing. You've all been following along with MCR Accounting's financial literacy series, and we just recently did a whole, right after the provincial tax season, or the personal tax season, we did a whole bunch of quick tip videos about financial hygiene. And by now, you've all corrected those small errors, and you're practicing good financial hygiene, meaning your receipts are properly recorded, they're properly preserved, they're properly book kept. So even if you did not know that this was going to happen, all of your records that you need to be able to make this claim are already maintained because you've been following the MCR Accounting financial hygiene advice. So because of that, it isn't really all that difficult to make your application. Here's a quick thing. This, I know this is frustrating for a lot of people. You know, you're always asked for a branch number, institution number, account number. Just a quick refresher, people. This first 5-digit number is your transit number. Your institution number is a 3-digit number in the middle, and your account number is separate, usually at the end. So, your applications, you can file a single application anytime up to September 30th, 2021. You can then file a second application up to the end of March 2022. If you didn't get your first application in, then in the second application period, you can put in 2 applications if that's what you need to do. So here's a little pitch. We're not hugely successful in convincing our own clients that signing up for the My Service Canada is something they want to do, but they should. I don't say that lightly. I really think people should. And here's another one in BC. So if you have your eTax BC login, this application becomes super easy, super quick, and the money is in your account right away. If, on the other hand, getting the money quickly isn't a part of your thing, then maybe you want to maintain not having that. After you have applied, you'll receive a confirmation email. Keep a copy of this email. Keep a copy of this email. In general, people, if you are receiving something from a tax department, whether it's your provincial tax department or your federal tax department, if you are getting correspondence from your tax department, keep it, right? It's all important. Here's another one. Open it. Open it, please. The number of times per year that we run into clients that have problems that they never would have even had they known what was on the inside of the envelope. So open your mail from your tax departments and keep it. Processing times, well, you all know, like, there's a lot going on in the government right now. I'm not going to guarantee processing times on anything right now. We did see that tax returns took extraordinarily long lengths of time compared to what we've been used to in past years. So be patient. If your application was accepted, you are going to get your money. You may need to repay some or all of the rebate if, made a change in the use of machinery equipment included. Return the machinery. Applied for a rebate and later discovered an error in your application. Audited and we find that some or all of the amounts. This is the big one, this last one. Don't make stuff up. I'm telling you, in the long run, virtually 100% of taxpayers that make things up will be challenged in the long run and will get called out on it. You can appeal. If you know, like anything else, if a tax department in Canada rules against you on something and you feel they are wrong, you are allowed to pursue that. You can get help. You can get help directly from them. You can get help directly from us. You can get help from your own accountant, your own tax preparers. The important thing is that you take action, right? And you can start by taking action just by going and taking a look at this site, thinking of it in terms of everything you've done in the last year with your company, and asking yourself whether or not this is something that you need to take a closer look at. Because provincial sales tax is 7%, right? You know, if you replace $10,000 worth of computers, it's 7%, right? If you bought all new office furniture to open a second office location, it's 7%. So keep that in mind. Anything that you can enter into your company as a depreciable item, i.e. it has a CCA class, is likely going to be eligible for this, with the absolute exclusion of vehicles. So that's what I wanted to say to you all today. It's thanks so much for stopping by. Again, this is one more time where we're taking the little bit of time ahead of time, like we've talked about in past videos, to practice good, clean financial hygiene is going to pay off. Because suddenly here's a program that can put a lot of money directly into your company bank account right when Lord knows we all need it during these COVID times. You can get that money and you can get it right away because you're doing the type of record keeping that supports any kind of interaction with your tax departments. Usually I'm talking about the federal tax department when I come on here. Today there's an opportunity to put large amounts of money back in your pocket from the BC provincial government. Have a nice day. Thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate your business.